Okay. Doug, do you want to start the meeting?
Call the meeting of the Ohio City Design Review Committee to order. Present today we have myself, Doug Wall, Alex Frondorf, and I can't see the rest of the screen, so I don't know who else here.
We have Margaret Lan and Antonia Marinucci as well.
Okay.
And today is September the 2nd of 2021. And our first applicant on the agenda is Citizens Bank. Do we have all that are presenting today for that here?
I believe so.
Okay, so I'll put the slide up and you can let me know when to move forward.
Well, I just want to summarize what we've updated since the original meeting, July 1st. The entire front facade of the building will be renovated, repaired, or repainted. Ramp, handrails, and landing will be placed within the building's interior as opposed to being constructed on top of the existing sidewalk. There'll be a new taller entry door to have anodized black finish. Green illuminated awning has been eliminated. Brick masonry will be painted a stone color, Benjamin Moore's Plymouth Rock, which is very close to the color recommended by the SRP. Stone trims will be painted a pale neutral color, Benjamin Moore light pewter, which is very close to the color recommended by the SRP. Existing clear story will remain and be repaired, smoothed, and repainted. Frames and sashes of second floor windows, clear story framing, and trim below the clear story will be painted Benjamin Moore black, which is very close to the anodized black finish of the new storefront. A single double-faced daisy wheel flag or sign will be installed on the left of the facade close to the building entrance. Existing gooseneck exterior light fixtures will be replaced with new ones to match the existing ones. And existing storefront assembly with single pane glass will be replicated with a new assembly with double pane glass for greater energy efficiency. And the finish will be the manufacturer's standard anodized black finish. Donna, if we go to your page 2,
To the scope of work.
okay, you've got the entire 32 page thing up. If we could go to page 15 of this document.
Is it this?
Yeah, the site plan.
You want to go to the site plan?
Yes, please. Oh. The site plan is page 15. It just shows that we've removed the ramp, landing, and handrails from off the sidewalk. Yeah, that document on the right-hand side. There we go. And you'll notice the main entry door to the vestibule is at the same level of the sidewalk. And then you go into the branch and there's a ramp that'll go 7 inches up to the main existing floor of the branch.
You're gonna cut out and reframe all that floor area?
Yes, we've had a structural engineer figure out all the shoring that's going to be needed and lowering of a certain amount of floor joists at the front of the building. Donna, if we could go to the next page. All right, and we're showing the entire facade of the building now. And the existing storefront framing members have got a variety of sizes from 1.25 inches up to 1.75 inches. And then the next image shows the basic exterior finishes, which is, you know, different than what we had shown 2 months before. Dark white is out. We're going with the 2 neutral colors recommended by SRP. And because this is a new storefront framing assembly, all the framing members are going to be consistent at 2 inches. All right, if we could go to the next pages, we've added a number of pages related to the Conneer storefront. And then if you go up, Donna, we added a few extra pages for the replacement gooseneck light fixtures. Okay, and then the next images are dealing with signage. If we go to page 27, if we could.
Page 27, okay.
Yeah, that one. You'll notice the green illuminated awning has been removed. We have a single blade sign on the left side of the facade close to the entry door, and the Citizens Bank letters and Daisy. Now, because this document was prepared by the signage vendor, they weren't aware of, you know, the change to the exterior finishes that we prepared.
Let me ask you a question while you've got this up here. This is the only
Yes.
color version of this. I've seen that the gray that's represented on the 2 end columns and above the sign area is now going to be all that light gray.
No, it's if it's masonry, actual brick, it's going to be the darker of the 2 stone colors. And if it's not a brick, it'll be the paler of the 2 stone colors. It more accurately reflects on page 17. Thank you, Donna. That one.
So but you're not treating the brick above the first, the upper part of the building, are you? You're just talking about below the second floor windows. Is that correct?
Well, based on the meeting 2 months ago, instead of just doing something at the first floor level, we're going for repainting on the entire facade.
Okay. So you've got 2 tones of gray is what you're.
Yes,
proposing.
Are
The
you
brick-
guys,
Brick is the darker tone and the stone is the lighter tone. Is that correct?
yes. I think there was another question.
yeah, I'm just kind of confused as I feel like there's conflicting visual stuff in this presentation. So I'm just like not totally sure what the actual proposal is. So the in the drawing or in the file, there's a rendering by Tim Barrett. Is that what
Yes,
you're
we
proposing?
rendering.
So you've been working with storefronts on this?
Oh, yes. Over the past 2 months.
Okay.
And Citizens Bank is, just has to get a couple of forms notarized and present them to Terry Sandy of Storefront Renovation Program, and we should be all set.
Okay, so
Okay.
the image that's on the screen now, that's what you're doing and not the other image that we saw a few slides down? Because they were different.
Yes, we took the image that's showing, which came from Tim Barrett, and we then applied that to our elevation drawing. And we are specifying 2 standard colors for Citizens Bank, which are very close to what Tim recommended.
I just want to be careful when you say very close, that we were being precise here. Because the other image is white at the bottom, they're not the same, and I want to know what exactly it is.
Well, the finish application that shows on Hellier Lewis's elevation is my best understanding of what the final needs to be.
Do you have this? Is that like the specific colors for the paint?
On page 35, we've got our finish schedule. We updated the 3 exterior paints to be consistent with Tim Barrett's design.
Is that provided to us?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Is that part of this presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
On the packet we received, the color swatches are on page 9. It's different than the one that Donna had up, so.
But this is the one I'm looking at does not have any color coding to that or any indication of what those colors are.
Is this what you're referring to, Antonia?
I'm looking, I don't know. I think that there's that one, sorry. Go back up.
There, that's what I,
Correct, but there's no actual color codes or any.
Oh,
of where it's
no.
going on the elevation.
I think
no.
there are, you just can't see them.
Oh.
Well, I'm trying,
Oh, no,
I
I think
mean,
it just says wall. I'm not sure. I can't read it either.
it seems to just be like a color. I mean, I feel like I would prefer to see, I still feel like I'm lacking clarity on this presentation and would like to see a more concise, consistent presentation to what is actually going to be installed, because it seems unclear, including specifications on color, specific colors,
Yeah, the
where they'd
elevation.
be applicated.
The color numbers and where they go on the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
In
this,
terms-
behind Citizens Bank, it looks like it's going to be white in this rendering from Tim Barrett.
Right.
But then in your drawings, it's not consistent. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
so we need
We like
consistency,
the
and I
other one
also,
better. Yes, this one is better. But it doesn't.
I'd also like prefer still to see, we need more, I guess, detail on the colors. I saw, you put in cut sheets for like goosenecks and all of that stuff, but there's no indication as to which one you're proposing to install. here, it's just a ambiguous kind of
Yes,
product
it
cut
was a
sheet.
page full of a bunch of different products and it
Right,
wasn't
so
shown which
It just,
one.
everything feels ambiguous. I can see what the rendering Tim is proposing, so I can infer things, but we need to not infer, we need to have consistent and
What
accurate
I
material in order to make an approval.
Specifics on certain plans and sheets of this presentation and put them onto the elevation. And
Yes. Put all
Yes.
that, a model number for the light fixture and manufacturer and the color numbers
Right,
and where
just-
they're proposed.
yeah,
in
I-
terms of the actual signage itself, I think I guess I'm still confused. So the Citizens with the logo, the one that we're looking at right now, that's going to be a surface applied. If that's historic brick, we always ask and require that the attachments fall in the mortar joints of the brick, which can be challenging when you're doing individual letters like this. So if the proposal per Tim's rendering is to put some sort of banding or other material, it's unclear. So we need to know, are you proposing a material to go over the brick?
things that were not asked for 2 months ago. You wanted to be attachment details for the blade sign, and that's included in this presentation.
Correct, but not for the lettering.
You didn't ask for that. You only asked for the blade sign.
I think we could stipulate that in a motion without having all the attachment points shown on the drawing. Would you go for that, Margaret?
Ken?
Yeah.
If I could interject. So typically when you go through the SRP program, it is a much easier process to get approval. But the problem that everyone here is seeing is that there's some inconsistencies with this rendering that Tim Barrett drew and really sort of the go-to for this program. So your rendering isn't showing the same as the drawings and the rendering aren't showing, they're not consistent.
Well, in your 12-page presentation, Donna, there is the color rendering from Tim Barrett with red annotation that it's not 100% accurate and that it should refer to Hellier Lewis drawings. And that was in the 12-page presentation.
I think you should delete the Tim Barrett rendering from this presentation because that makes it confusing. Just take your elevation and add the color notations and light fixture selection to it.
I think Tim actually got it better and a better rendering.
Yes.
I mean, I like that better than the other.
Well, I can ask him to revise it then.
Yeah, we can get rid of the white background there and relocate the Citizens Bank lettering as you've shown it in the elevation. Then it would all be coordinated.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be consistent, and I'm sorry if you feel that the feedback we gave last time was not complete, but we do need to have the connection details for any signage that's going to be applied to a historic facade.
All right. I will
And if
get
that wasn't clear,
the vendor and add it into the presentation.
So we have another meeting in 2 weeks and I can put you on that agenda so you're not delayed because I don't think you're even on the landmarks agenda for next week anyway.
well, if they go through SRP, are they
Yeah,
even
they don't
going
have
to
to go to
landmarks?
it. Yeah.
Right, so the buck stops here, which is why we want to make sure that what's being presented to us and what we're approving is actually what's going to be installed. And it needs to be consistent through graphic representation and the construction drawing.
I have a couple quick questions about the paint. When you come back, can you specify the manufacturer and the type of paint? We usually look for a breathable masonry paint. And then the one area of the building that does not appear to be painted is the very top cornice. Can that remain natural stone if it's not already painted? You see at the very top, this top sandstone, yeah. That at least from,
If you want that unpainted, we can make that adjustment.
Yes, the cornice and the, it looks like the coping at the very top is also not painted. So those
Yeah,
parts that are not painted, leave them unpainted.
I'd like
And
to
you were
get,
not proposing some detailed pictures at the bottom of the.
Right.
highlight.
don't know your name, a woman who's in front of a deep blue background.
Sorry, you were both talking at the same time. Can, I think, Ken, can you repeat what you were saying?
Yeah.
No?
The comment was made that you were wanting connection details for all signage, and that for these applied letters, that they should go into the mortar lines.
In the mortar joints. Yeah.
Could you repeat that, please?
Antonia?
Exactly that. The connection details need to illustrate and specify that when they're being applied to historic brick facades, that or stone facades, that the connections have to fall at the mortar joint to not compromise the brick.
Is there,
Which might be difficult to do with, like, a lot of people don't do the applied letters because that's extremely difficult to hit the right, you gotta size them appropriately to make sure you're doing that. So sometimes companies will put them on a band or like a solid rectangular background so that they can better control
Mhm.
and have way less, you know,
Less penetrations of the surface.
correct. Yeah, and then I see that you do have the connection detail for the blade signage, but it's also illustrating it going through the brick and not the mortar. So I just want the specification to reflect the back plate, you know, should be sized appropriately to hit the correct connection.
all right, are there other published requirements for signage? Because I'd like to be as comprehensive as possible for the next meeting.
Do you mean published as in by this board, or you're asking?
At the committee, and so that, you know, I'm not surprised again by some additional requirement. I want to be
I want to
comprehensive.
clarify that there's not additional requirements. This board is upholding the Secretary of Interior standards for restoration, rehabilitation, preservation. So we are not trying to hoodwink anybody or surprise people with additional requirements. It's just the requirements of an historic district. I would recommend reaching out and going through this in detail with Tim Bere too. He's a specialist in this as well.
Okay.
And usually, like Donna said, when you go through the storefront renovation program, it's part of that process.
Okay.
Ken, do you have any more specific questions about this? Or are we ready to, is the committee ready to make a motion?
I don't have,
Okay. And you can always reach out to me as well, Ken, and I can help clarify some of these questions that you might have.
well, are we
Make a motion?
making a motion, or should we table this so that it could come back with the details that we requested?
Just table it.
Is the applicant okay with tabling it?
Ken, are you on? Hello?
Good afternoon, or good morning. This is Paul Gagel. I'm a project manager with the bank. Ken shared the invite with me for this, but it
Oh,
sounds
perfect.
like it sounds like we need to come back with some more detail. So if tabling this for another 2 weeks while we clarify the details is the best route to go without restarting the whole process. I think that would be in our best interest, in your best interest, time-wise as well.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. All right, well, I will move then the table.
I'll second.
Thank you. Let's see. So,
Donna?
yeah, Doug,
Just for, yes, I'm sorry, just for the record, I'm showing up as a numeric name. I didn't type my name in when I joined the call, but it's Paul Gagel, Gagel with the bank.
okay. So we have a motion to table this for another 2 weeks so the applicant can review and resubmit some of the inconsistencies that were shown today. Douglas Wall,
Aye.
Margaret Land,
Aye.
Alex Frondor,
Aye.
Antonia Marinucci.
Aye.
Perfect. And then Paul, anyone from your team or Ken, you're welcome to call me if you have questions. I'm happy to walk through some of the things that might be inconsistent for next time. If that helps.
Don, you're helpful as always, so.
All right. Thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye now.
All right, thank you.
All right. We have our second applicant for the day is Intro. Do we have a representative? Dan, I think you're muted. Or we can't hear you. Can't hear you.
How about now?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I've been having audio issues. My computer keeps trying to switch sources. So if for some reason while I'm talking it stops, just raise your hand and I'll try to fix it.
All right, great.
All right. Okay, so we're bringing back through, well, not back through today. We are asked to bring back through the FF&E landscape and light fixtures for the public areas at Intro. The hardscape was previously approved along with the sidewalk planters. I'm also bringing through for approval for the first time our canopy signage at the event venue on the West 25th Street facade, which will be at the end of the presentation.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, just to clarify. So today we are going to be reviewing landscape lighting and then separately we'll be reviewing your signage, right?
One signage element. We previously discussed with landmarks separately that we were not going to be presenting a master sign plan for the project. There's a lot of unique signs by the time this is complete. So we're going to, all the ownership signs and retailers will bring through their specific signage individually.
Okay, so we're doing landscape lighting and then the third element.
Site furnishings is also included here, as is that one sign.
Perfect.
So I should say though that where it's labeled number 4, that area is still excluded from this presentation because that is a patio for a future restaurant that we'll bring through separately. That's still under design and there's all kinds of elements isolated to that area that we're designing in context of the rest of the plaza. So I should note that that would not be presented today. The little dots you see are just for reference. Those are part of our CPP streetscape plan. And so you have tall traffic signals where there are blue dots. You have 14-foot, what they call the acorn poles, where there are red dots. And then the bollard locations are shown in pink because we had to move some of those as a result of our final street lighting plan with CPP. So again, sorry for the illustration there, but I added that in just for context. So yes. So we're just going to kind of go through the images here. I don't have location spec for all of these things, but one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have pet waste stations all around the property. They'll be black actually, but it'll be this exact model that you see here. One of the things that we're doing all around with any site lighting and specific furnishings is we're trying to maintain a consistency where most things are black and actually non-architectural in nature. So the building is going to be the focus of the architecture. And then we got a lot of lush plantings and some timber elements that we want to really focus on. So the stuff that you're seeing black is going to be a theme as a result. And so just kind of going through here, We have site planters that'll be scattered throughout. We've got the fence that's going to be surrounding the dog park, which is a public dog park that we're putting on the south side of the site. The bollards there, I know that they're not all the same size. Apologize for that in the file type, but we will have these, the brand is Helio stainless steel bollards that are scattered throughout the site in areas where traffic and unprotected sidewalks occur. Black picnic benches that are this specific spec is in the dog park only. One of the other elements we're going to do are these 3 compartment trash bins so we can separate paper, plastic, and waste. We're probably going to end up partnering with Rust Belt Riders to do composting as well as part of our LEED certification and just commitment to sustainability across the property. As you can kind of see too, some of the timber elements that are paralleling with what's going on inside the building will appear on the outside, along with our bike racks, that sort of L-shaped, upside down L-shaped item is a bike rack coming from Amsterdam. And then the inspiration that you see for the next 3 images are the types of bench seating that we're going to scatter around the property. And the reason I say inspiration is because these are extremely expensive. So what we did is we had a bunch of leftover timber from the interior construction that we haven't used. And so we shipped that over to Northern Ohio Lumber right down off Quigley in Steelyard. And we are going to have them fabricate all of these custom benches using leftover mass timber from the building so that we can actually have a lot of those elements both at street level and up on our 8th floor rooftop level. So that's why I say everything is going to be inspired by the look of these, but it's not identical. So hopefully it's a cool feature when people who may not live in the building can also just experience the timber scattered around various planters and floating benches that we can move seasonally there. So we can keep scrolling down. So you might want to zoom out because these file sizes or these page sizes are large. So last time when we talked about landscaping, Alex, I know that you had actually specifically mentioned more shade trees than kind of some of the little dinky things we see scattered around sidewalks. I went back and reviewed our planting schedule, and we had already anticipated putting shade trees in most of the planters across the project anyway. So they are a little bit larger scale than I think you would find in other instances. I tried to simplify this a bit because every planter bed that you see has tons of ground cover, and there's all sorts of various types of shrubbery, flowers, all kinds of things that can be assessed and kind of looked at in detail on a planting schedule, which appears at the end of this document. But what you've got is I identified which planter beds have which types of trees. And I included pictures of the species that we're having at each location. And so we are mixing things up around the perimeter of the building as well as inside the plaza, which is probably the most important part as it fronts onto Lorain and the West Side Market. And so if you want, we can kind of go through, or if you can just pull out a little bit more actually on that last page, just so we can kind of see what's going on here. So I would say we have a pretty robust planting plan when it comes in reference or context to other projects in the vicinity. We, I think, have over 100 trees specified at the ground level, if not really close to it. And so what we're trying to do is, you'll notice along Lorain and 25th, our sidewalks are extra wide. One of my pet peeves walking the neighborhood now that I live here again is when you have to stop and pull over for someone to get their stroller past you, or vice versa, even more so when they have to stop and pull over to let you pass, or if someone has a dog on a leash when the sidewalk's not wide enough. So what we did is we pushed all of our planters as close to the curb line as possible. We're just about 2.5 to 3 feet off the curb line. And then what you'll see is there are about 12 to 15 foot wide walks between the building facade and those planters in most instances. So extra wide, but in doing so, we wanted to create good shade and a nice placemaking. So we have a lot of trees scattered throughout.
Dan, while you're on that page, your planting schedule is very robust. I went through your tree schedule. I appreciate the inclusion of more shade trees. On the 25th side in particular, you have a very grand building, a very grand project, and I don't think that the honey locust is up to the grandeur of what you've built there on 25th. It's an overused tree in the neighborhood. They don't age particularly well. You know, if you line 25th with the same type of tree, like a plane tree, a linden plane, I think it would be a lot better for your project, a lot better visual. When you go to other cities and you look at the brand buildings, they're often lined with the same tree species. I think it would do a lot better than the honey locust there. And that's my only real criticism or critique. Otherwise, I think you're hitting it on the plant schedule. Just I would urge you to reconsider the honey locust.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, we can reassess for sure. I mean, if that's one of the only requests, I know we haven't gotten through everything yet, but happy to oblige. Can we keep going, Dom? So just kind of going along with that, we do have a couple honey locusts on the inside of the park here that are tucked in on this sort of picnic area that's in the center. Otherwise, along the perimeter, we have, you know, maple trees that'll go pretty tall, the plane trees, and then the American linden. So, as well as some cypress trees, which I think are cool because I don't see a ton of those around here locally. But a good mix. And then inside the park, as you kind of come along that angled pathway, just a very robust sort of mini forest of birch trees, which I think does two things for us. It adds more greenery and lushness near the sidewalk, but it also acts as a windbreak for what's going to be the patio to the, you know, grayed out area there on the upper portion of this, because for whatever reason, the wind whips through this corner harder than it seems at most other locations in the neighborhood. So that's part of the reason that we have so many trees thrown in those two beds there to kind of create an opportunity to block wind. And then obviously all the various versions of trees and shrubs and more kind of filler stuff that we've got throughout the southern portion of the site are shown here. Should make for a very colorful fall. Okay.
And Dan, the honey locust on the interior, you know, that's fine. I just think the street trees need to be a little more robust.
Okay. Cool. Okay, I think now, well, the page below this one should have actually been up included with the above as part of the FF&E, but we have, I don't know if you want to scroll one more. This is just scattered tables and chairs that we'll have in the plaza as part of kind of floating seating that we can move around anytime, you know, with umbrellas, chairs, tables, things like that. I think one of the things all along has been to encourage people to kind of use this as another mini public square and come read a book, come eat lunch, you know, after you shop the market, hang out for a while. So there will be, outside of the isolated patios that are for the restaurants, this will be more public hangout space. Continuing on, lighting, we actually aren't doing a ton of architectural lighting out here. We wanted to, again, keep it sort of minimalist, following the same sort of pathway that everything's going to be in a matte black. You know, there's some pole lights here, the shorter version, whereas around the lawn that's shown to the right, we have the taller version of the same fixture. We do have some LED lighting that's going to go under some of the custom timber benches that are being created on the edges of these planters to kind of form the walking paths. Other than that, you've got these pole lights in each planter bed under trees. You've got uplighting as well as power so that we can string the trees with lights pretty much year round. I don't think that just needs to be a holiday season type thing. I think it's a nice feature to have where it supplements everything else that's going on when a lot of the trees have lighting strung in them throughout the year. We keep scrolling. So again, same fixture, just the taller version on either side of this lawn. Keep going. Uplights in the planter beds. So everything's fairly nondescript here. I think that's part of the mission. Building wants to be the star of the show, and a lot of the greenery and landscaping is really what's going to command attention at the ground level. So for here, it's really just about having enough light for security purposes and for, you know, pleasant walks as you're getting to and from locations. Because I don't really envision this park having a ton of activity after, you know, dark most nights. We will have 24/7 building services, a door person, concierge all day that's kind of walking and making sure that, you know, everything's a-okay. So keep
And
going.
if I can interject, this is also in the special improvement district, so there will be those ambassadors walking around all the time as well to help aid in that
Absolutely.
safety and trash pickup.
And then lit bollards that kind of, again, form the perimeters of these planter beds and follow along the walking path. These are already previously approved as part of the building architecture, but I did just want to highlight that these wall mounted up and down square pendants are appearing pretty much on every pilaster where there's not a designated retail sign. So they follow the whole perimeter of the entire building all the way around. Same thing. And then this is just an example of the way that we plan to light up trees in various parts of the project, both at the sidewalk and in the park. Again, this will help supplement all of the sort of non-architectural lighting that you're seeing go through here. And then the SP1 and SP2s that you see are tall, more traffic-oriented poles in our drive lane, and kind of just using those sparingly to create light for vehicles. That's the level 1 planting schedule that I referenced. Feel free to read all those at your leisure, but lots and lots of ground cover. So the last thing I wanted to present today was this final page at the bottom here with the truss canopy. Truss is the name of our event venue on the 9th floor. You might have to zoom in quite a bit because it's a different size.
I'm unable to scroll any further. I'm not sure
If
why.
you zoom enough, it'll probably let you scroll.
Zoom in or zoom out.
Zoom
It's,
in, zoom in. Sorry, zoom in.
Okay.
All right, this should work. So we have this canopy that was previously approved as part of the architectural piece of the building. There are a couple things here that are referenced incorrectly, but for the most part, the signage intent is exactly what we intend to do. So this is the breezeway that walks into the main entrance for our event venue, which is on the 9th floor. It's called truss because of the architectural trusses that are appearing in that space. I'd be happy to tour any of you whenever you'd like with a hard hat, and we can go up there and check things out because it's pretty far along and it's looking really, really special. What we have is a 3-sided canopy. It is actually, it says here it's going to be background painted black. That's incorrect. It's actually going to be the same architecture that you see on the horizontal slab edge covers of the building, which is that kind of reverse C-channel metal paneling that's going in now. So if you've been by the site, I apologize, I didn't attach a reference photo to it, to this PDF, but it's kind of this reverse C-channel that's got some depth to it. It's going to follow the same thing. So these sideboards that are LEDs will actually sit in, flush of the top and bottom portion of that metal panel, as will the truss logo. So it's shown right now as though it's going to be extruded and sitting proud. It's not, and it's not going to be black. It's going to be that sort of deep bluish charcoal gray color that you see on the building facade right now. But by and large, both sides of this are only going to be used for on-premise type of marketing. We're not going to be doing any advertising or anything like that. It's mostly for calling out the events that are taking place in the space itself. If couples are having weddings, they can customize and personalize these LED boards with messages and sort of things for their special day. Otherwise, we're trying to keep it fairly classy and minimal. And I actually think that most times during the day, those LED boards won't even be on. They'll be more of a nighttime thing only when there's events taking place. But wanted to bring this through for approval so we can get fabricating on things like this. Lead times, as I'm sure some of you are familiar with right now, are just insane as a result of COVID-related supply chain issues. So metal, lighting components, it's all taking extra long. But happy to take any comments, questions, criticisms across the board, and do anything.
Would anyone like to go back to any slides in particular?
No, I think it's a good presentation. I think, feel like I understand it.
I have no further questions other than my comments regarding the poor honey locust.
Yes, I would support that.
Alex, can you repeat that? You said you would prefer something else other than the honey locust?
Yeah, please no honey locust on the public facing on the Lorain or 25th side. Interior, that's fine. You have a lot of leeway there, but on the public facing side, there needs to be a more robust tree. I would recommend the plain tree, for example. There are others, but good candidate.
I don't have any questions. I think it's a well-designed plan.
Thank you.
No comments from me either. Looks good.
I agree. So would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve with my prior comments incorporated.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Donna, call the roll.
So we are moving to approve with the recommendation that the street trees on Lorain and 25th side need to be more robust. So only honey locust on the interior, not on the exterior. So Mr. Wall,
Aye.
Margaret Land,
Aye.
Alex Frondorf,
Aye.
Antonia Marinucci.
Aye.
Great. Easy peasy. Thank you, Dan. I will make
Dan.
sure Landmarks Commission gets these notes. And if you have any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out.
Will do. Thanks, everybody.
Good
Thanks.
luck. Thank you.
All right, we have our third applicant. Our third winner today is Mr. Justin Kapela.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yep,
loud
I'm
and
here.
clear. So Justin, before we get into all of the details of
Yeah.
this project, I know
Uh-huh.
you came through a few months ago and we went through the windows and the
Uh-huh.
front, but now you're changing the front facade of the building and the paint colors.
Correct.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, let me bring up a couple of emails. So you are updating the layout and exterior elevations. In addition, you want to have this signage, mostly because you ran into a zoning issue because this is zoned as a two-family and you're proposing a commercial use. So that's why the zoning came back. Are you still applying for the variance or are you not?
Well, oh no. So the second floor, it's got two zoning, or it's zoned with two different uses. So the second floor is the single family zoning, but the first floor is a business use, the B1 business. But what the zoning department said was it cannot be used as office space. It can only be used as retail space.
Okay, and I know I talked to Matt Moss about this. Maybe you can explain more to me and why you're back, I guess, because I'm also not 100% clear on exactly what you're planning to do. Because I know at first you wanted to have like a showroom and now you're not.
Yeah, so just to start on the second floor again, that's always going to stay a single, it's a 2-bedroom apartment right now, so it's going to stay that. It's got its own separate entrance. It's fire rated between. That stays as is. The downstairs, like I said, it's got the B1 business use association to it, and instead of having it as a full, just architectural and construction office space, we're going to use it as just strictly the showroom for furniture, cabinets, and everything like that. I think it should be a great benefit to the neighborhood. And then we bought another building over at 4914 Walworth, just south of 90, and that's where we're going to be moving all the construction office and architectural offices there. So that the first floor of this is just going to be our store, is just going to be our J. Kapela store for home furnishings and home goods.
And then are you going to have open hours? People can just walk in or? Okay.
Yeah, we'll have Monday through Friday for sure. And then we're just depending on it, we'll see about Saturdays, but Monday through Friday for sure.
Okay, so have you applied for a variance for this then?
No.
So you will need to go before the community for this. So have you
Okay.
talked to the block club in this area?
No, I have not.
Okay, so we can talk about that later, but
Okay.
okay, we can go back to your presentation. I just wanted to try to get the background all.
Yeah, no, it's a big help. It's definitely been confusing since we bought this because we just assumed, B1 business use on the first floor meant businesses, but the zoning department specified the difference between retail and office.
And I know before you closed on the building, we had a long conversation about this.
Yeah.
And it's been so long. And I went through my notes and it's still, I don't know, I guess I need to wrap my head around exactly what all of this means, but
Yeah.
I think Antonia had a question.
I have a question, yes, to clarify.
Yeah.
So there's there's the zoning path, but then there's also the building and housing path.
Uh-huh.
So you have not gotten approval for the zoning change,
No,
correct?
Correct, yes, no.
But you have you gone down, you have received approval for change of use from the building and housing department
So when we submitted the construction documents to building and housing, it immediately got kicked back as a zoning infraction. And the specific terminology that the zoning department used was the first floor is definitely allowed to be used. It's got a B1 business use to it, but it cannot be office space. It has to be retail space.
But so basically you don't have it's not currently business. It's not currently B1. Your proposal is to convert
No,
the
it's
first floor to
currently,
B1.
I have the zoning certificate that clearly states the first floor as B1 business. If there, I could show it to you.
No, I just am trying to ask because there is a difference between the zoning path and the building and housing path in terms of change of use. They'll look at it
Yeah.
architecturally different than zoning does. Zoning can give approval. The building, what's physically manifested in the building is under building and housing.
Right.
So that's what I'm asking, the change of use. What's the permit status of this building?
Yeah, they didn't say that we needed a change of use as long as it was retail. So there's,
yeah.
So
if
it
you
was
wanted to
formerly,
use
it was your former, so the certificate of occupancy currently has retail and apartment.
Yes. First floor retail, second floor residential.
yeah,
So.
Okay,
if you
so
wanted
you're
to
not,
use this-
you're not doing an office because that would require a change of use.
correct.
basically-
Yeah,
Okay, okay,
Yep.
that clarifies for me. Thank you.
okay.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, it's confusing for us too on that with what they're asking for.
So you're not seeking a zoning change anymore, right?
No, we're not, we
Okay.
don't want to change the use that's already, that it's already been, correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
and we're not saying that you can't change the use, that's another path to go down.
Yeah.
We're just wanting to make sure that we're looking at this correctly.
Yeah, what happened was we already realized very quickly that there's not enough space here for us. So, we wanted to have like more furniture, more cabinets, and then it's just better for us to use this as the storefront and then move all of our offices to the new building where we've got, 4,000 square feet of, space to do whatever we want with. So.
This
Thank
may
you.
be slightly beyond our purview, but if you consider just moving everything down there and then just returning this to a home on the floors?
It was not something that we considered only because the downstairs, if you look at it, just the way it was, whoever did the construction before we bought it and they did it a couple years ago. It just lends itself to be a really nice looking storefront type floor. It's all, just wide open on the first floor. So I guess, Alex, to answer your question, no, we hadn't considered that. Is there a reason why you were thinking it would be better that way, or?
It would just be more in line with the historic use,
Okay,
or he's not brought that.
yeah.
don't think
mean, it
it's-
used to be a grocery store, so historically.
Alex wasn't implying that that was some sort of requirement or anything. He just was
Oh,
asking
okay.
if
Yeah.
it was considered.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So are we reapproving windows and everything like that? Or are we just looking at new changes from the last time we saw this project?
Well, yeah, I think we're going over the windows and then the front facade. You guys had recommended, we originally were going to do white windows, and then you guys had, made the recommendation about thinking about like a darker material or color. So that sort of opened my eyes to some different design concepts, and so we decided to go with black windows. Then we've got the gray siding, and then on the front, basically, we're not changing the footprint of the front facade that's there. All we're doing is taking the old white AZEK that's there in the T111 vertical siding and covering it with boral and doing a more traditional classical details, painting those black to match the windows, and then the brick that's down there that's currently yellow, paint that black as well. So it's basically, it's just that front facade area that currently is white and gray. But as far as window locations, door locations, everything is still all the same as the last presentation. We've just switched everything to the black windows with the black trim.
Well, I know that, it certainly matches up with the black of the storefront, have the windows in black.
Mhm.
I think this trend of black and white, stuff is very popular right now, but it may seem dated after a while.
Mhm.
And so the very minimal contrast you have of the body color being a light gray, and the trim corners of the building being white. I guess I would encourage you to do something and to bring a little more color into it.
Yeah, it's
Taking the body down a couple of notches grayer so that you see a little contrast there.
Yeah, Doug, currently the rendering, how the computers don't always represent it the right way. That siding looks a lot lighter than what it actually is. I mean, we've got it's a much grayer siding. And ultimately we're going to be removing that vinyl siding and then being able to paint the wood siding below it after we repair it, even a little bit of a darker gray than what's there now with the vinyl siding.
Great, okay. So you're not doing anything with that right now?
Yeah, so that way so that way the black doesn't pop out as much like a black and white like farmhouse would.
Right, okay. Then I guess.
And do you have color specified?
Well, right now the siding color is the existing gray vinyl siding that's here now.
But you just
And then
said you were so you are not proposing to remove it yet?
No, correct.
Okay.
In this drawing, the trim around the windows looks like a little different. I'm just assuming you're leaving the trim as is and painting and then addressing possible changes later once you take the siding off. Is that?
Yeah, so Donna, if you could scroll down a little bit, a couple of pages, Doug, yeah, keep going. There's past those architecturals, I think one more, there it is, right there. Oh, go back up one. We are still going to trim back the existing vinyl siding to wrap all of the windows with the historical sill and boral trim and header and paint those, it's that acorn black, which is the same as the front would be. So, and then we'll butt the siding right up to that new boral. And then, so that way down the road, all of the boral trim around the windows has already been done, and it'll just be a matter of repairing and painting the existing wood siding.
Okay. And then I had another little picky question on one of the elevations. I noticed for this, actually like the small window that's shown here on the north elevation. In the drawing, it said a slider, but then I think you showed a hopper in the Pella.
Yeah, it went to, it changed, are you talking about, yeah, on the, it's currently on, is it the second floor window?
Yes,
Yeah, currently that's a slider right now. It's over the kitchen sink that's in the apartment. And we're just gonna change that to an awning window. 'Cause-
great,
Yeah, because Pella doesn't, yeah, we wanted to look more authentic.
great. Thank
Same
you.
thing with, on the opposite elevation where we have a glass block window. We've also are replacing that with an awning window to get rid of the glass block as well.
Excellent.
And are those buttons external?
Yeah, they're the simulated divided light.
Thank you.
That no, the specs for those is also in the package a little bit further down. There was I think the next, oh, right there at the bottom, it's in bubbled in red. If you go up a little bit, Donna, there it is. It's that section right there talks about the simulated divided lights on the buttons there.
Okay, I see that. Thank you.
Yep.
So you're seeking approval today for windows and the storefront change?
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
And
Yep.
What is the product, Boral? Is that, what type of material is that?
Well, it's like your AZEK, except it's not plastic. It's cement based. We use it all the time now in all of our historical renovations. Stopped using AZEK because the Boral, we can actually use it like wood, router it. And you can paint it dark colors, whereas the AZEK being plastic, it moves with the heat and cold, and you see all the white seams. So Boral is the new, I don't want to say new, it's been around a long time, but what all of us architects and designers are using for exterior trim materials now because of how nice it is to work with like wood.
Do you have a picture in here of what it currently looks like?
No, I don't. I'm sorry. The current building, you mean?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't add that in there.
So I apologize if this was made clear and I've just missed it. So you're looking for approval for the windows, and then the storefront. In the storefront is simply, you're just changing the paint color and then the signage. Is that accurate, or did I miss something?
We're adding some new, yeah, you mostly all there. We're just adding some new trim over the existing trim that's there on the front facade. It's got a lot of, there's T111 vertical like wood siding underneath there that's between some white AZEK trim. So we're just gonna get, yeah, just kind of go over the AZEK trim.
Do we have details of the trim profiles and how that will look?
Oh, there we go. Thanks, Donna. There we go. Perfect. So you can see the window size. Yeah, if you keep zooming in a little bit, if possible, I don't know how much further you can get, but you see how there's a white trim, right? Or the window sizes are going to stay the same, right where that Howard Hanna sign is. And there's a piece of white trim around the window, and then there's a white corner board, which then we take a 1x8 piece of AZEK and create a corner pilaster detail out of that. And where
So you're
that
adding an
gray
entablature and a corner.
I'm sorry?
So you're adding like an entablature and then the cornice on top.
Yeah, Donna, if you could zoom in on that front right there. Or I'm sorry, on my rendering front. Yep, right. And then on that front, if we can zoom into that image there, you'll see all the different details. You can see there, so on the right, the window sizes stay the same. Just on that corner, we're taking the AZEK 1x8 AZEK, we're creating a base with it and creating a panel detail across the top. So where we have that, our Kapela sign, we're gonna go flat across the bump out where it bumps in, where the front door is recessed. We're just gonna go flat across that with the Boral trim as well.
That's much improved.
Yeah, see how there's that, it recesses with the front door. Where that T111 siding is, we want to go straight across that as like a front entablature that goes all the way across. Yep, straight across there. Yep, thank you, Donna. And then obviously a new front door, and that brick that's existing, we would also paint dark.
I think I'd like to see the construction drawings. I know that you're rendering, it looks good. I agree with Doug, it looks much better. But I think I'd like to see those details, those profiles of the cornice.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't have zoomed in CAD drawing details as part of this presentation, but I can definitely send them along.
Justin, will you be doing anything with the fence or have you already?
It's already gone.
I feel like, yeah, I saw that the other day. Just double checking.
Yeah, all the chain link is that's all gone. Eventually down the road, we want to do, you know, a whole new driveway there and everything else.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, our goal, you know, going back to that use of the first floor space, being on the corner like we are, you know, it's not like we're jammed in between two other houses and we're trying to be a storefront. I feel the way that it already looks, it just screams this should be some like a storefront and not somebody's house. I've seen some other houses around Ohio City where you can tell somebody lives behind an old storefront window. I don't particularly think that's a great look. So I really like the idea of this still being a storefront on the first floor.
I definitely think that, you know, the concept of the changes you're proposing to the storefront are much improved.
Mhm.
I agree with what Doug said, though, all the black.
Uh-huh.
I would consider perhaps even an alternate gray that's between the gray of the siding and going quite this dark. It's just a pretty harsh contrast. So if you would consider that, and then also please just make sure that the paint that's used on the brick is a breathable masonry coating.
Oh, yeah.
In what time frame are you looking at for the removal of the vinyl?
Probably next summer.
I mean, there's a lot in my mind that's just sort of uncertain. The final paint combinations, the detailings of the trim work on the storefront. You know, even with the grayer, it looks very stark. And as Doug said a while back, you know, I know that that's the fad right now, but I think it's not long for this world, or at least I hope not.
Yeah, I could resubmit, well, the more technical drawings of the trim profiles for the front, and look at, you know, instead of that acorn black, you know, the acorn, Sherwin-Williams acorn black, something a little bit lighter, because, you know, ultimately down the road, we could always, you know, obviously with your guys' approval, if we wanted to go darker with like a darker body of siding when we go to gray or go to the original wood, you know, we can always repaint at that point. But for right now, if we wanted to go with like a lighter color for the front facade, we could definitely do that. And you know, but still work with the black, with the sashes of the windows would still be black, but we could tone down the paint color of the trim around it and the front.
Yeah. I
that
think
would
that
help.
would help. I mean,
I agree. I think it would help, so it doesn't pop out, stand out so much.
Yeah, and you want to be cognizant of the structures around what's going on in that context.
Yeah.
You know, speaking for myself, I don't know if my committee members would agree. I'd be happy to approve the windows today, but I'd like to see more of the detailing on the storefront.
Sure.
Trim and the paint color before giving final approval for that.
Okay.
That works for me.
Yep,
Yeah, that works for me too, because I think then you can get going on the window and door lead time.
Okay.
And
All right, well, if there are no more questions or comments, I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve the windows as presented. And then with the understanding that the applicant will come back for a later presentation on the storefront itself, the trim package, and the color.
Second,
I'll second.
Donna, please call the roll.
All right, so motion to approve windows as shown today, and then would like more detail on trim, storefront, windows, the window details, I guess the window trim, and then color.
and color.
And then I'm gonna add the signage in there too, if that's okay. Even though that's part of the storefront. I just want to be as specific as possible. So, Doug Wall,
Aye.
Antonio Marinucci,
Aye.
Margaret Land. Aye. Alex Fronder.
Aye.
Motion approved as presented with windows. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome. And then Donna, I'll just tone down the presentation to just a couple of sheets with colors and the details. So, is that
Yeah, you and I
okay?
can work, if you want to have a call before you
Uh-huh.
present next time, we
Yeah.
should do that.
Okay,
That would be easy for both of us, I think.
all right, that sounds great.